The enemy isn't out there. It's the part of you that still wants to be loved by everyone. That part must die. What if everything you've been told about loyalty to yourself, your values, your feelings, your identity, is the very thing keeping you weak? What if becoming powerful, unshakable, unstoppable means tearing your own identity apart? In this video, we will explore 8 Machiavellian truths that demand inner betrayal, cutting off your comfort, dissolving your false morals, and discarding who you think you are. You will learn how to weaponize your darkness, sharpen your emotional control, and master the brutal truths of human nature. To defeat the world, you must first conquer the mirror. This isn't a motivational speech. This is war within you. So ask yourself one question before we begin. Are you willing to betray the version of you that's been losing? Kill the inner innocent. The first betrayal isn't of the world. It's of the boy inside you. The one who still hopes for fairness, for recognition, for someone to say, "You did well." That boy is loyal to illusions. He prays that integrity will save him, that kindness will be remembered. But in the world of wolves, he is nothing but prey. Every man carries this child within him, and until you silence his voice, he will sabotage your rise. Machiavelli never said it with sentiment. He carved it into the bones of strategy. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Why? Because love is unreliable. It bends, it fades. But fear? Fear commands. It moves nations. It keeps knives in sheaths and tongues behind teeth. Ask yourself, what has your goodness bought you? Where have your morals gotten you that ruthlessness wouldn't have taken faster? Power, true power, requires the murder of innocence. And no one else can do it for you. The innocent part of you. The one that still craves applause, that hesitates before the necessary cut, that seeks justice in an unjust world. That part must be executed quietly and without ceremony. This isn't cruelty. It's liberation. The death of that part of you is the birth of clarity. Suddenly, you stop waiting. You stop asking. You stop expecting. You move, strategically, coldly, precisely. And yes, it feels like betrayal, because it is. But here's the paradox. By betraying that inner innocent, you finally become loyal to the self that matters. The sovereign self. The part of you that understands life is not about being good, it's about being effective. That nothing grows in the soil of self-pity. That the world rewards those who act, not those who wait to be seen. Pause and ask yourself, what have your morals cost you so far? What opportunities did you pass up out of guilt? What power have you surrendered in the name of being nice? And was it worth it? This isn't a call to be cruel. It's a call to be free. To operate beyond the child's dream of fairness. To understand that some rules exist to be broken, some hearts must be hardened, and some masks must be worn until the throne is yours. And once you're there, you choose whether to rule with mercy or fire. But until that day comes, remember, softness is a luxury only the powerful can afford. So kill the inner innocent, not out of hatred but out of necessity. Bury him deep beneath the weight of your ambition. And in that grave, plant the seed of your true self, ruthless, awakened, and untouchable. The war for your future begins with a knife turned inward. Will you do what must be done? 2. Weaponize your shame. Shame is a double-edged blade. Most wield it against themselves, quietly, repeatedly, until it dulls their will and breaks their spine. But the Machiavellian mind sees it differently. Shame is not a wound. It's a resource, a molten energy buried beneath the surface, waiting to be forged into a weapon. You were taught to run from it, to bury it, to wear masks and fabricate perfection. But everything you've ever avoided, Every regret, every humiliation, every truth you couldn't bear to speak. Those are the blueprints to your ascension. Carl Jung said, "What we repress becomes our shadow. What we integrate becomes our power." Machiavelli would have smiled, because to rule, to dominate, to bend the world to your will, you must not only know your shadow, you must sharpen it. Shame, when denied, consumes. But when faced directly, it transforms. It becomes venom turned antidote. The very thing that once paralyzed you becomes the fuel that propels you beyond the reach of ordinary men. Think about it. How many times have you relived a past mistake, a failure, a betrayal, your own or someone else's? Not because you're weak, but because you've never been taught how to use it. You carry the memory, but not the lesson. You feel the pain, but never weaponize the fire it created. The guilt stays guilt. The regret stays regret. And it eats at you like a slow acid. But what if you chose differently? What if you confronted that shame, not with softness, but with surgical precision? What if you said, "Yes, I failed. Yes, I lied. Yes, I fell short. But I will not die here"? What if you dissected the wound and extracted the power it holds? Because shame is not weakness. It is unused potential, suppressed identity, raw, volatile energy, and it's yours, if you have the nerve to look it in the eye. Let the world judge you. Let them point fingers. They don't matter. The only battle is internal. To win it, you must betray the version of you that clings to guilt like a child holding a broken toy. You must become the kind of person who walks through their own fire and emerges laughing. You are not meant to be clean. You are meant to be forged. Pause here. Ask yourself, what shame have you buried so deep that it now controls you in silence? And more importantly, what would happen if you unearthed it? Because your darkness is not your prison. It's your blueprint. The very thing you hide could be your ticket to freedom, if you're willing to mold it, master it, and finally, own it. 3. Embrace the double face. The most dangerous man is not the one who shows his teeth. It's the one who smiles with one mask while sharpening a blade behind another. To survive in a fractured world, you must fracture yourself willingly. This is the art of the double face. Not deception, but design. A conscious betrayal of authenticity in service of power. Most people wear a mask because they're afraid. Machiavellians wear one because they understand. Not every battlefield is meant for your real self. And in many arenas, authenticity is suicide. Machiavelli put it plainly, "A prince must learn how not to be good." The word learn is crucial. It means the skill is acquired, not natural. You are not born with duplicity. But if you're to thrive, you must learn it. Not as hypocrisy, but as strategy. You can be honest in private, but the public world demands performance. If you try to be the same version of yourself everywhere, you become predictable. And predictability is weakness. The man who clings to authenticity in every situation is not noble. He's exposed. And in the game of power, exposure is death. Your power lies not in the face you show, but in the fact that you choose it. The face you wear in the boardroom is not the same one you wear in silence. The one you show to your enemies is not the one you show to your mirror. And that is not a flaw. It's evolution. Ask yourself, how many times has your truth made you vulnerable? How often has showing your real thoughts, your raw feelings, left you manipulated, outmaneuvered, or dismissed? You think you were being honest? But you were bleeding in front of wolves. And wolves don't respect honesty. They feed on it. The double face is not about becoming fake. It's about mastering your presentation. You're not the mask. You're the hand behind it. The consciousness that knows exactly when to be silent, when to smile, when to dominate, and when to vanish. This doesn't make you soulless. It makes you sovereign. The man who can adapt his identity without losing his core is invincible. You may feel a sting of guilt. Society has taught you that shifting your persona is dishonest. But society is built to tame you, not empower you. Look deeper. Beneath your guilt is fear. And beneath that fear is your key to freedom. So betray your longing for pure authenticity. It's a luxury for those who play in safe arenas. You don't wear a mask to lie. You wear it to protect the part of you that no one else is allowed to own. You don't perform to please. You perform to position, to control, to reign. Pause now. Reflect. What mask have you feared wearing? And what has it cost you to avoid it? To win, you must become fluent in faces. The mask is not a prison. It's a weapon. When you choose it with precision, you become untouchable. 4. Burn the need to be understood. The deepest prison is not made of walls. It's forged in the silent desperation to be understood. You wear your soul on your sleeve. Speak your truth with trembling hands, hoping, aching, that someone will look back and say, "I see you." But they never do. Not the way you need. Because understanding isn't truth. It's perception. And perception is rarely generous. So the more you beg to be seen, the more power you leak. And Machiavelli knew, power that pleads is already lost. You were not born craving comprehension. You were conditioned into it. Taught that intimacy comes from being known, that connection comes from confession. But what no one told you is this: the desire to be understood is a trap. A velvet trap. You expose your depth, your history, your wounds, thinking it will earn closeness. But closeness without respect is a knife dressed as comfort. And respect is never given to the one who tries too hard to explain himself. Nietzsche understood this too. He who seeks to be understood, he warned, makes himself vulnerable to the blade of others. The more you explain, the more they disarm you. The more you clarify your intent, the easier it becomes to distort it. To be powerful, you must detach from the fantasy of being fully seen. Not everyone deserves access to your core. Not everyone should. Power doesn't speak, it moves. It doesn't justify, it acts. The lion doesn't explain why it hunts. The storm doesn't apologize for its violence. And yet you, who feel so deeply, who long to be validated, have mistaken emotional transparency for strength. You've forgotten that mystery is a form of dominance. The less they know, the less they can control. How many of your sleepless nights were born not from betrayal, but from not being understood? How much of your pain is you replaying a moment, hoping they'll get it this time? They won't. Not because they can't, but because they don't need to. Your power does not lie in being known. It lies in being felt, respected, unforgettable, even if forever misunderstood. Let go. Let them misunderstand you. Let them question your motives. Let them build narratives that serve their ego. It doesn't matter. Because when you stop explaining, you start commanding. When you stop seeking approval, you start bending reality. And in that silence, in that sacred withdrawal from the need to be seen, you become untouchable. Burn the need to be understood. Not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. What you are becoming is beyond language, beyond validation. It doesn't need to be explained. It needs to be embodied. So ask yourself, how much of your suffering is just you begging to be seen? And what would happen if you stopped? What if you let them misunderstand and still won? That's the betrayal. And that's the power. 5. Abandon the identity you love. The man you think you are, the image you defend, the story you've told yourself, the identity you cling to like a sacred text, is the very thing holding you back. You were taught to find yourself, to know yourself, to stay true to yourself. But what if the version of you you've been loyal to is the prison? Power does not emerge from preservation. It demands destruction, not of your values, but of your form, your shape, your self-concept. The longer you clutch your identity, the tighter the world grips your throat. Nietzsche once said, "One must still have chaos within to give birth to a dancing star." But the chaos he spoke of wasn't disorder. It was transformation. Identity, for the average man, becomes a coffin, elegant, familiar, but sealed. Every time life demands more from you, the old self tightens its grip. It whispers, "This is who we are. We don't do that. We don't go there. We don't become that." And so, evolution dies under the weight of self-loyalty. Machiavellians know this. To rule, to rise, to shift the axis of your life, you must abandon the identity you love most. Not because it was false, but because it has expired. Growth isn't addition, it's subtraction. It's peeling back the layers of who you were taught to be, who you pretended to be, and even who you've successfully become. Rebirth isn't peaceful, it's violent. Grieve your old self. Then bury him. Ask yourself, what part of your identity have you been protecting out of fear? Is it the good man, the humble one, the loyal servant, the wounded victim? How many opportunities have you walked away from because they didn't match your reflection in the mirror? How many versions of power have you denied because they required a new name, a new voice, a new stance? The real betrayal is staying loyal to an outdated version of you just because it's comfortable. The greatest act of self-love is self-destruction, when done consciously. Burn who you were to fuel who you must become. Yes, there will be grief. You'll feel untethered, disoriented, naked. But that is the signal that the mask is gone and the metamorphosis has begun. You are not your past choices. You are not the role you played to survive. You are not the voice they praised or the weakness they pitied. You are what remains after the fire. And the fire is coming. Detach from the old image. Watch it collapse. Mourn it if you must, but do not resuscitate it. You can't become untouchable while protecting what made you soft. Power doesn't recognize comfort. It recognizes rebirth. It honors the one who was willing to betray even himself for something greater. So pause now. Ask yourself, what part of you needs to die so something stronger can live? Your next evolution won't arrive with comfort. It will arrive with a funeral. Make sure it's yours. 6. Lie strategically, never habitually. Honesty is a virtue they taught you to kneel before, but not because it empowered you, because it controlled you. You were conditioned to equate truth with goodness, to believe that transparency equaled purity. But in the world of power, truth is not sacred. It is situational. It is one move in a larger game, and the one who tells the truth reflexively is not honest. He is predictable. Machiavelli's warning echoes across centuries. You must learn how to not be good and still appear so. That is not a call to corruption. It's a call to precision. Lies, when used habitually, rot the soul. But when wielded strategically, they are tools, clean, sharp, effective. You don't lie to manipulate people for pleasure. You lie to protect your mission. You don't deceive to inflate your ego. You deceive to bend reality toward an outcome. The man who lies without purpose is weak. But the man who knows when to distort perception without ever distorting himself. He is untouchable. What if truth was never the point? What if it was just another tactic, no different than silence, timing, or posture? You think truth is noble, but that belief has cost you leverage. How many times have you revealed your plan too early, confessed your fears too openly, or admitted your thoughts to someone who used them against you? You weren't being authentic. You were being disarmed. There is a discipline to deception, a structure. You must lie with clarity, with restraint. Never out of fear, only out of intent. The moment you lie to feel powerful, you've already lost. The lie must serve something greater than your ego. It must protect your path, conceal your vulnerabilities, and preserve your momentum. Like a blade, it must be kept sharp but rarely drawn. Strategic deception requires you to step outside your emotions. You must silence the need to be liked. You must quiet the child who was told that honesty is the only road to peace. Peace doesn't come from truth. Peace comes from control. Control of self, of narrative, of outcome. Ask yourself, how many times has truth betrayed you? How often has your loyalty to honesty exposed you to those who had none in return? You were raised to believe the truth sets you free, but sometimes it builds your cage. Let others confess their souls. Let them believe in moral clarity. You, be the mirror. Reflect what they need to see. Say what they expect to hear, and move with an agenda no one can trace. Betray the need to be truthful for the sake of being righteous. And in that betrayal, step into something far more powerful. Tactical silence, selective exposure, strategic illusion. You are not dishonest. You are disciplined. The world is not a courtroom. It's a chessboard. And on this board, the truth is just another move. Use it, or be used by it. 7. Turn pain into ritual. Pain is not your enemy. It's your instructor, but only if you choose to sit at its feet, not run from its shadow. The world will tell you to escape it, to numb it, suppress it, deny it. But the Machiavellian does something far more terrifying. He ritualizes it. He turns agony into repetition, discomfort into discipline. Because power doesn't bloom from peace. It is forged in torment. Jung once warned that man suffers most when he avoids necessary suffering. That's the modern curse. You avoid the pain that would have refined you, and instead embrace the pain that destroys you. The pain of stagnation, the agony of waiting, the slow rot of fear disguised as comfort. But the one who rises is the one who stops asking why the pain came and starts asking what it wants to build. This is the secret most will never understand. Pain, when repeated deliberately, becomes a ritual, and ritual is where the alchemy begins. You no longer flinch. You choose the burn. You walk into it, not to be consumed, but to be carved into something that cannot be broken. The Machiavellian doesn't seek suffering. He structures it. He creates containers of fire that temper his will. Cold showers, brutal workouts, emotional confrontations, silence, isolation. Not because he's a masochist, but because he knows suffering is sacred when it's owned. Your pain is not random, it's tailored. It arrives where you are weakest. It points to what you refuse to confront. The more you dodge it, the more it haunts you. But stare into it long enough, and you begin to see shape, structure, instruction. That's when the shift happens. When your pain stops being your punishment and becomes your path. Ask yourself, what if you trained with your pain the way warriors train with swords? What if your agony wasn't chaos, but choreography? Every emotional wound, a repetition. Every hardship, a rep in the dark gym of the soul. Most men crumble under pressure. But you use it. You light a candle in the black room of your suffering and turn it into a temple. The blade is only sharpened by resistance. Without it, it stays dull, shiny, untouched, and useless. You are the blade, and your resistance is the sharpening stone. Embrace the friction. Embrace the ritual, because in that repetition, pain stops being personal and becomes productive. Do not wait for the world to hand you ease. It never will. Instead, ritualize your darkness until it bows to your will. Make pain kneel at your feet. Own your crucifixion, and you become your own resurrection. Pause now. Ask yourself, what if your pain wasn't punishment but initiation? Would you still hide from it? Or would you kneel before it and rise forged in its flame? 8. Sever emotional loyalty. Loyalty is beautiful until it becomes a chain. The most dangerous prisons are built from love, from history, from memories you swore you'd never leave behind. But to rise, you must be willing to walk away from what once defined you. To win, you must betray even those who made you. Not out of malice, but out of necessity. The man you're becoming owes nothing to the boy they remember. You were conditioned to serve your roots, to protect your past, to remain loyal to the tribe, the family, the friendships that shaped you. But shaping is not ownership. And just because they were there when you began, does not mean they deserve a seat where you're going. Machiavelli understood this brutality masked as truth. He who becomes master must betray his roots. That betrayal isn't hatred, it's evolution, and evolution is never sentimental. Your parents, your childhood friends, the city that raised you, the teachers who praised you, the dream you had when you were innocent, they all built a version of you that could survive then. But now, survival isn't enough. You were not born to stay loyal to the soil that sprouted you. You were born to burn through it and rise above it. You don't owe your past the sacrifice of your future. Ask yourself, what are you still clinging to because it once felt like home? Is it the need to make your parents proud? The friendship that's grown stale but carries years of unspoken guilt? The childhood dream that no longer fits but still whispers to you at night? How much of your potential is suffocating beneath the weight of emotional loyalty? You can love people and still leave them. You can remember where you came from without being bound to it. But you cannot serve your higher self while being handcuffed to your history. Loyalty that doesn't serve your evolution isn't noble, it's self-betrayal. And no one will sever it for you. You must do it with full awareness, full pain, and full power. There will be grief. There will be resistance. You will be called cold, ungrateful, arrogant. Let them speak. Let them rage. Let them misunderstand. Because this is not their path. It's yours. And the higher you climb, the more weight you must drop. You can't hold on to every old hand and still ascend with force. One hand must break free, the other must reach higher. This is your moment. The cord is fraying. The weight is slowing you. The past is calling you back, not because it loves you, but because it fears losing you. Cut it anyway. Sever the loyalty that no longer feeds your rise. Trade comfort for clarity. Trade history for hunger. Trade guilt for greatness. Because only by cutting the old cord can you climb with both hands and rise, not remembered, but reborn. The man who fears betrayal will never know power, but the man who betrays his own weakness will rule himself. Everything you've been taught about loyalty, about staying true to yourself, about emotional purity, it's all designed to keep you predictable, safe, and controllable. But the path of personal power is not safe. It is dangerous, brutal, and glorious. In the darkest depths of your own shadow lies the throne. If you felt something in your chest today, like a fire you've been trying to suffocate, don't ignore it. Feed it, train it, let it rise. Like this video, share it, and subscribe to Mindrift. The world isn't changed by the nice, it's changed by the precise. And you? You're becoming lethal. You're becoming